I'm going to show you how to position your I-cord ties if you want to tie this onto a chair. It makes the seat pad a lot more useful if it's not falling off all the time. So usually I decide to put my ties about 1/8 of the round on either side of the centre back position. So my centre back has got that marker, and so I want to put my ties on the 4 stitches before the 8th position and the 4 stitches after. If you have a differently shaped chair, you can put your ties anywhere you like. But essentially, slip to the position where you want to put the 2 I-cords. You may find it easier to use separate needles rather than your working needles. So I'm just overlapping the tapers and pushing the stitches from my working needle onto a spare DPN. And the 4 stitches that I want are the last 2 pairs of this section. So that's this stitch and that's its partner, this stitch and that's its partner. And the way I like to arrange them for making an I-cord is to take the 2 front stitches, this one and then this one, and we'll drop that back one off and rescue it. So I've got 2 fronts, and then I'm going to come round to the back and take these stitches. And so I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and they will make a nice little circle. Onto those 4 stitches with the yarn that I'm going to use for my cord, I just knit 4, and I want to make sure the stitch doesn't twist. Not that it really matters, because the actual join between the I-cord stitches is going to be hidden by whatever border or binding you use. You want to put your I-cords on before you apply an I-cord border. If you're going to do the quilted reverse stocking stitch edge, you need to wait until you've done the quilted edge. I slip my I-cord stitches back to my left hand needle in preference to sliding the whole needle through. I find it's quicker. And keep on repeating that until you've got about 10 inches of I-cord. Slip them across and off we go again. So I'll do 1 I-cord on that set of 4 stitches, and you see it looks quite neat now. And then I'll do another I-cord using this stitch, that one and that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that will be my pair of ties for that position. This is what the ties will look like in a felted situation. And as you can see, they're somewhat disguised by the colour that you've carried across on each side. But it does make a very firm attachment point, and you need never come back and have to sew on ribbons or anything painful like that. Here I've got a double knit edge, and I have added my 2 ties to the side of my seat pad, and I've applied I-cord in 2 row stripes and I've applied I-cord up to the start of the two I-cord fastenings. Now I've got to find some way of getting both my yarns past these and to the other side so that I can continue applying my I-cord. What I'm going to do, and you can come up with your own plan by all means, is I'll take my pink yarn first and work 2 stitch I-cord on the first 2 stitches. I can just pop those back and I'll maintain it in pink. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, and just continue to work that until it's long enough to get to the other side. I've worked my pink 2 stitch I-cord until it's long enough to get to the other side, and I'm just going to let that sit there whilst I take my other yarn and work I-cord in the second colour with the other 2 stitches. I suspect you can see where we're going with this one now, and I'll keep working on those 2 until they are long enough. There are my two separate 2-stitch I-cords. I'm just going to pull strings through there, and now I can go back treating them as if they were one again on the other side. And I'm going to begin with the pink because then that will look symmetrical around that side and symmetrical on the other side too. Work across all the stitches, turning them back into a single I-cord, and mustn't forget to apply them. Slip the 2 stitches so they're back to back and bring it through the whole lot. Slip them back to the left hand needle. We'll do another row of pink and then we'll resume using the blue again. Whoops. Slip, slip. Just adjust that last blue stitch and keep on going until you get to the next set of ties. Although it's not a perfect cover-up, it does disguise it. It continues your I-cord along around the edge. Here's an after felting example. There are my ties, nice and secure, and that's my little bridge across the ties on either side. If using the threaded reverse stocking stitch edge, you can cut off the yarn and then slip to the position where you want to put your ties. The one thing with the reverse stocking stitch ties is to make sure you have a good long yarn tail when you start them. Now when it comes to binding off, we're going to bind off and neaten the edge all at the same time. We're not going to work the stitches freshly, we're going to go into them and bind them off one over the other. It's up to you which way your crochet hook enters the stitches, but the main thing is to be consistent. So I've bound off my stitches right up to where the 2 I-cord ties are. And now we have to get to the other side, so we're going to have to do something a little different to the way we did it with the I-cord. I'm going to use the 2 tails of yarn from the cords, and that's why we left them extra long, and reaching from the last stitch we chained into the cord tail, I'm going to make a crochet chain until I get to the other side. Perhaps I'll put one more chain in there, and then I'm just going to leave that dangling at the front. I'm going to have to pull my other yarn tail a fair way. I could thread it through with a darning needle if I wished, but I'm just going to pull it across the back. Then I'm going back into that same stitch again and making a chain with this other piece of yarn. If you can come up with a different solution to this, then that's absolutely fine. None of this is obligatory, it's just a suggestion. Maybe one more chain. Now we're going to unite them on the other side and start binding things off again. Holding the chain so the nice smooth edge is outermost, I'm going to put my crochet hook back into this one, come through my back chain and unite them into a single stitch, and now I can resume binding off just as before. And there is my little bridge, and I'll take my tails and tidy things up to my satisfaction on both sides. But it gives a nice little colour coverage across that gap and gets you across the other side so you can resume binding off. When that's felted, it'll look just fine.